What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the On Purpose podcast, where it's our mission to put a smile on your face, get you thinking, maybe get you moving, or even get you challenging a little bit about what you're telling yourself. And this week, I'm super excited to bring on somebody that has built a unique space in the running world. On social media, you may know him as Breezy Trail Head, but offline, he's John Calabrese, ultra runner, dad, caregiver, Navy veteran, and what I love most, storytelling. I love good stories. And what I find with John that really intrigued me to bring him on here is his honesty, the funniness that he brings, his humor, and his willingness to share parts of the journey that sometimes we try to hide, right? Not always the wins, but some of the DNFs, the did not finishes, the life transitions that have made him a voice people trust. And he reminds us that movement, struggle, and community are all universal. So, John, my friend, welcome to the On Purpose podcast.
Good to be here. Thank you for that. Wow, don't get my head that big, man. Keep it easy.
No, come on, Breezy Trail Head. You know what you're doing out there, dude. I researched you, and here's what I want to just compliment you to start with. Thank you for sharing your story, dude. And thank you for not waiting until you had the perfect story to share it, right? Researching, I was like, man, this dude's been telling his story for a while. This is super easy to find out. And what I loved was it was always very authentic. And I didn't hear the same story from show to show or episode because you're growing and you're sharing your truth, which is what is so powerful and what we need more of. And I always stress that to my community to understand is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be undefeated to share a story that resonates with people. And John, I want to thank you so much for being you, dude, and for doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that, man. I'm a mess. I'll tell you straight up. But you know what? It's a process, and you just keep growing.
Dude, who isn't a mess? Like, which of us is not? Like, when we look at life, like, who's like, oh, dude, I got this whole game figured out.
Well, yeah, I try to be upfront, man, because if there's a lot of people out there struggling, and if they can see me do stuff in your running community, then there's hope. There's hope for anybody. You got it. You got this. You all got this.
Yeah, no, that's what I always tell people too. I'm not the brightest dude in the world, so if I can do anything, then you definitely could probably do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, John, before we get into the long run here, before we hit that trail, because I'm out in Arizona right now. I got Mount Lemon out my window. I'm chomping the bit to go run this trail, but I got to warm you up. We can't be blowing hammies and stuff going hard right off the bat.
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready for your warm up?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, here we go, John. What's something you've learned about yourself lately?
Oof. Not to be cocky, you don't have life figured out. Whenever I think that, there's something really bad's about to happen. So just be humble. Always stay humble. I constantly have to remind myself that but also, I mean, life's crazy, man. Like sometimes I'll be questioning stuff like, is this getting too good? Is something bad about to happen? I mean, I think you have to like live the moment too, but it's it's tough. It's a fine line. You can't be too cocky. Can't be super humble. I try to be as humble as I can, and just not be overly cocky. But it's a fine line with running. You get hyped up after doing like 100 miler. Like, oh, I can do anything now. And then like blow out your Achilles or something. I try to be cool, man. I try to treat everyone with like love and respect, and not get my head too big. See, you were pumping me up earlier. Don't do that. You can do a little bit, but don't pump me up too much, man, because
we could throw some Kendrick. We could throw some
trouble,
Kendrick.
man.
Yeah, we could give you some Kendrick Lamar, some Stay Humble, and get you right back down where I need you, bro. Come on.
Everyone needs that. Everyone needs that, man. You can't get too big.
Dude, I resonate so much with that because I can tell you through my life when I've gotten too big for my shoes and I'm like, dude, I'm like on top of the world. It's usually the prelude to something dumb happening that I caused myself because I didn't stay grounded.
I'm amazing. As many races as I do, I am like a master at shooting myself in the foot. So like, yeah, everyone out there, yeah, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Whatever you're going through, I've probably done worse, and I'm probably gonna do worse throughout my life. So you know what? there's that.
All right, what's a small habit or a ritual that you've been doing that's been giving you energy lately?
Oh, sleep. No.
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
I'm trying to sleep. So like I went through a long period, like after COVID, I stopped going to the gym. I stopped doing like anything like cross training, stretching, any of that stuff. I got hurt last year, so, like, now the gym's my ritual, basically, like, as much as I like to run, I know the gym takes up time and precious time that you don't wanna be doing that stuff. It's the as repetitive and everything as running is, the gym is way more repetitive, doing the same stuff every day, or the same machine, stuff like that. But yeah, it's really helped me out. It's gotten me stronger. It's gotten me more durable. Stretching, working out, PT. I can't stand that stuff, but it's helping me out. So it's kind of like, you know, uh, it's kind of like superpower that I've been able to do that and stay healthy lately. But yeah, that's been my ritual. Trying to sleep. Sleep's a harder thing. I'm working on it, but yeah, mainly just the PT, the gym work. I like that stuff. And I mean, I'm not your typical gym guy, but because like it's ultra running is so funny. Like, like once like if you take a shit from like a gym person, like as a runner, yeah, I feel like as long as you tell them you run ultras or something, they're just like, oh, like Goggins. I'm like, yeah, like that guy. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, that's the crazy guy. Like then you'll be going to the gym, people like, that's that crazy guy that does the ultras.
Yeah, you quickly get stereotyped.
That's fine. I mean, like, I feel like when I was like, this goes back to ever since I was like a kid. I was like a really skinny, scrawny kid. Just like I wanted to play football and stuff like that, but I was too little. So, like, I was always scared to go to the gym because I get, like, beat up or whatever, and, like, yeah, I've always had that, like, in the back of my head, like, "Uh-oh, they're gonna give me a wedgie. Here we go." But, like, ultra running has helped me overcome this because now there's, like, respect. So, like, yeah, they're like, "Oh, he's a made man."
That's funny. All right, John, who's someone in your life right now that's been influencing you or inspiring you?
Wow. So, like, I like the old heads in the running community. I just, like, people with just, like, with, decades of running. I always look to them to see what they do to keep staying running. Um, guys like, so I signed up for a race that has a lot of veteran runners from, like, Ball State and stuff like that. Tim Hardy, he was, like, I think in, like, the original or not Badwater, Barkley documentary as a sacrifice. Guys like that have been around for decades. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, I try to replicate what they do because they're adventurers and they've got it down, so I try to look to them for, guidance and, kinda like cool stuff to do for the race schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear because I think like the ultra running world's moving so fast towards like influencers and like things popping up that sometimes we forget to like slow down and like what were these guys doing that didn't know about hydration and didn't carry water and were running in non fancy shoes, but they were
Those are my
doing it.
favorite. I like honestly, like, Reddit's gotten so, like, what's even the word? It's, like, fashion and stuff now, and, like, I like the dudes that wear, like, cotton shirts, and, like, they have, like, the water bottles duct taped to their hands and shit like that. Like, I'm like, I think I'm so just, like, I want running to go back to, like, I think I'm just gonna try to do stuff like that moving forward, like, wear cotton shirts and stuff like that, try to inspire people to go backwards.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be an expensive hobby, right? That's why most of us started is you just grab a pair of shoes and go and you can go do it everywhere.
Well, I think for adults too, like, for me, I've never been that coordinated. I'm not that good at team sports. It's hard to like go like I'm going to go play baseball today. Blah blah. Blah. You can't do that. It's hard to find people to go play baseball with or stuff like that. So running's easy for adults to do, just to do whenever. And yeah, it's always worked for me. I know some people don't like running, but for me, it's so accessible. And it's not an inexpensive sport anymore. Bibs are expensive, shoes are expensive, everything's expensive. But for me, it's still the, like, easiest sport to do that I like the most, so I'm stuck. I got nothing else, man. I can't play rugby, I'm too little. I've thought about playing these other sports, man, but I don't qualify. It's just running only, so I'm stuck with this shit. I gotta
What about pickleball, dude? You considered
nah,
that?
no.
Come on, bro. You're not gonna try pickleball?
If I'm gonna play okay, alright, not to talk trash on pickleball, but if I was gonna play that, I would just play tennis. But I'm not coordinated. I think at those quick movements and stuff, I'll probably blow out, like, something like that, in my legs, so, like, yeah, I don't know how to cut like that, move around like, side to side, can't do that.
Opposite muscle movements for sure
Doesn't
than
work.
running.
Yeah, I'll die, so I have to keep running.
I can't have you dying on me, John. We need you, bro. All
No, no,
right,
no
what about
tennis.
this? When you think about the season you're in and life, what's a phrase or a word that you would use to describe it?
Wow. Oh, man. Growing. I mean, like, I'm constantly growing. Even though I'm 46, I mean, I'm like I'm probably one of the youngest 46-year-olds out there because like I right after high school I joined the Navy, which wasn't like, it was a weird time. It was like right after so it was right before 9/11. Navy, military all across the board changed completely after that event. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I think just if I would, well, I tried going to college before the Navy also, and I mean, like it just didn't work. So then I went to the Navy. It was kind of it was a good experience. It was tough, but like I think like that traumatic event being in there during that time was just like, I never shook that. And there's probably all kinds of unchecked stuff that I should be talking to a therapist about. And I think that we swipe a lot of stuff underneath the rug, like from that kind of, because like I mean like we go through COVID, we go through all this stuff like that. I mean like that was so quick, with 9/11, how that happened, and then like just having to go to sea and like all the stuff that we had to do after that. I don't even. There's times like just now I start thinking about that stuff now, so it's crazy. I think that I have a lot more growth to do. Like I still have stuff from my past I need to think on, talk to somebody about. But it's hard, man. I think that we dig that stuff so deep while it's happening, especially like stuff in your 20s like that. I mean like. I was so young when that happened. Like that was like the Navy was like one of my first real jobs, and like for that to happen during that was like wild. But I feel like I'm just, again, I'm proud that I'm starting to talk about it more, but at the time I was just like, I'm going to do anything to address the situation happening right now. I'm just going to drink. I'm just going to do whatever. I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff out there, but yeah, like my 20s were like a really crazy time. I think like now is just kind of like, I'm actually growing now, just kind of, you know, getting past a lot of the stuff from my past.
No, dude, I don't think you're throwing out too much at all. I think your word is grow, and I think, which is awesome because I think sometimes to grow, we gotta look back and realize, like, what are things that we're carrying with us that no longer serve us, that are holding us back from actually being able to grow. So I don't think there's anything crazy about that at all. I think it's natural. I also, like, ponder this a lot because I think almost everybody you talk to, if they're really reflective and self-aware, would say the person they are in their 20s is not who they are in their 40s or 50s. Right, and a lot of that is, like, we just don't have the experience to know what we don't know, and everybody's competing and jockeying for this position in life that you miss out on a lot of learning opportunities, or like you were saying, you have to suppress a lot of stuff because you don't even know what you don't know yet. So there's not like, I think you almost have to go through it and then get to this stage of life where you can reflect back and go, "Man, what an idiot I was there."
Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks that's why I like running, like, how many like races I do and like the distances I do, because I think a lot about that stuff, and it's taken me like a lot of races and just being by myself, just thinking a lot to even like again really get to the point where I want to like think about that and explore that stuff again, to like talk to other veterans about it, because like I had such a crazy experience in the military. Like I didn't like right when I didn't talk to the VA, didn't talk to anybody. I was just like, I'm done, I'm good. Like I was just it was just a wild time, man. I mean, yeah, I like running with other veterans too. Like I think that's one of the things that's helped. But I mean, I've ran with a lot of Marines, a lot of Navy people, Army, all branches. You know, after like what 7, 8 years of running, I'm just now like starting to want to talk about it. So it takes time, man. It takes a lot of growing and time and thinking about it.
When did so let's talk about that, John. You seem pretty warmed up to me, my man. You're ready to go, like you said. So
Always.
let's hop into that. When did running become from something that you just did to like part of what you need to do and part of who you are?
Um, basically, I was going through a divorce, and it was pretty rough. And I in the back of my mind, I wanted to run because like the military makes you run and stuff like that. But and I liked running. I liked running in school and stuff, but it wasn't something I liked to do. Like, how can I explain this? So running, it's like a punishment, but it's something you kind of like, but you don't want to admit you like it, and it takes a lot. Just like wanting to talk about the stuff in the military. It took a long time for me to actually admit to myself that I liked running, and I think just also once I became an adult. I just realized this is the only sport I can do left, like everything else is hard to do as an adult. You can't just pick it up whenever. Again, you can't go outside and be like, I want to play baseball today. Oh wait, there's nobody around. I can't play baseball. So like, yeah, I just I just I'd been running like 5Ks with family on like holidays and stuff and like local races, just not like just messing around and stuff like that. And during the like the darkest days of my divorce, I signed up for a marathon with a couple months to train. and it was awesome. But then when it was over, I got sad. I was like, "Oh man!" So like, just started signing up for races and just doing them. Like, I just kept up in the ante, and then I found the greatest drug, ultra running, and I just got to jump into that full on. And I haven't left, man. I'm still there.
And that's been 8 years now?
I started running. It was 2017. Really, like that's when I
Yeah, so
started. That's when I did my
9.
first marathon. So I'm getting up there.
And what was that like for you? What was that like hitting s or, signing up and being like, "Man, I actually committed to this," and holding yourself accountable?
So I've talked about this before, man. Like I don't know. I wish I had. I mean, I'm motivated. I'm a highly motivated person now, but like the stuff, like just the stuff I was going through during the divorce, like I was more motivated then than now. Like I just like to start training like that out of nowhere. That like I'm still impressed with myself. Like I'm really like proud of myself for being able to do that. And like I think with myself, I get lost and I don't admit that enough. I should be like really a lot more proud of myself that I was able to do that than, I am. Like that's probably the biggest win ever. Not, races, it doesn't matter about podiums or like racing at all, like how many races you've done, but just the fact that you can like go from like a sedentary lifestyle to being able to train for a marathon. That's awesome. Like when I see people do that, that shit fires me up. Like that fires me up more than like any, influencer or like any like movie or like sports, movie or doc or whatever, like just a regular person that has some shit going on that's able to start training for a marathon. I mean, yeah, that's probably as good as it gets in life.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's so true. So share with us, if you would, if you can remember back then, John, what were you afraid of? And how did you overcome, like, making that first step? Because I think so many times we know what we wanna do, we know it's out there, but we just get so afraid of that first step. How did you get through yours?
So mine was a process. I think it started like I'd started to like I would train just to like run like here and there. But I was addicted to alcohol and cigarettes and stuff like that. And like I would just I wasn't serious with it because of that stuff, just wanting to go out and party. Once I was able to like, stop doing those, it took time and then it took, a really depressing act to happen, divorce, which, nobody wants to go through that. And just like I think that was like the final straw. I was just like, okay, I need to start taking care of myself. I need something for me that's going to make me happy, that's going to keep me in shape and give me purpose.
And so what was the first thing you did? Like, how far did you start running when you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna do a marathon, but I got practice today." How far were you able to go that first run?
So this is like the best training ever. I live in like a rural area and there's just long stretches of gravel road that go like forever. So like yeah, I would do like I think the way I had it, I had days where I did like 6 miles, 10 miles, 14, and just kind of like alternate stuff like that. And like I was just running like that with like no real training or anything. It was awesome.
Love
I
it.
didn't have a watch. That was that and that's what makes me want to go back to like some of these old like when I see like the old schoolers and stuff like that with the cotton on and stuff like that. I mean like I wish I could get to a point where I could just do that again, like just run without a watch. It just like, I kind of know the distances. Yeah, who cares about pace? Just to be able to run and just like unpack stuff. Um, I don't listen to music a lot now, but back then I would listen to like a lot of heavy metal music and just like I would want to like just revisit a lot of different music that I either I hadn't listened to for a while or bands I haven't heard of. So it was a cool thing to do that. I don't listen to music now. I there's so much I think about now. I think music it's kind of like a distraction now for me. But I loved it at first. It was something that really helped get me started, just listening to a bunch of music, like real intense heavy metal music. And yeah, I just kind of got carried away with it, and it was fun. It was awesome. Like I said, like once the marathon was over, I just felt even during the marathon, I felt sad. I was like, do I do another one now, or like what happens? Because like after all that
Yeah.
work, you can't just stop. I feel like you can't just stop.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a letdown after a big event you train for sure. Let me ask you this. What did you find out there running that gives you back what you can't find anywhere else in your life?
So I've never like really gotten to like meditation and stuff like that. I feel like I'm too stressed out during the day to want to be able to do that, or people are like constantly like asking me stuff or whatever. So like it's hard for me to do that. But if I'm by myself, like in the middle of the woods or like on just like a road with nobody, just a long road or something, I just am able to just find relaxation, and I couldn't find that in other aspects of life. So like I think that's for me, that's the only thing I've ever been able to find that really makes me able to like focus and think things out and just just being away from everybody and just on my own, just relaxing out there doing a long
Yeah.
run.
Man, that quiet time with yourself is so rejuvenating.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of adults that just they don't know that and they don't have that and they don't have like a way to be able to process that. And like for me again, meditation looks cool when I see people do it, like the breathing and everything. And I've gotten more into it, I guess, like just the at least the concepts of it. But it's hard for me to fathom being able to do that before like I speak or something like just or any kind of like stressful situation. I'd rather go for a run. I feel like that calms me down more than anything.
So let me ask you this, John. When did you decide you were going to start sharing your running journey and some of the thoughts that you come up with when you were running? When did you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to share this and see what happens?
So basically, during COVID, this guy he asked me to share some stuff about myself. He wrote about me for We Views, and basically his name's Evan. He wrote about me for that during COVID because I was doing like crazy miles during COVID. I was so mad during COVID because like I was signed up for like I was probably in one of the best. I was in like I don't know. I'm probably in the best shape of my life right now, but at the time I was in the best shape of my life, and I really wanted to like get a really fast marathon, and they canceled this race right before, like a few days before that I'd been training really hard for. And so I just kind of was like, screw everybody. I'm just gonna run. So I started doing all those virtual challenges during COVID, like the great virtual race across Tennessee, and I was just like doing random shit, like running like a marathon around a field. Yeah, it was awesome, and it was COVID sucked, but at the same time, like I got to hang out with my daughter the most I ever have in my life. I ran the most I ever have in my life. I think I got like like over 5,000 miles that year in 2020. And like Evan saw that and he was just like he wrote about me. And after that, a combination of me just reaching out to podcasts, but then like other podcasts, well actually no, a couple reached out to me, I guess either from seeing that or saw like what I did on Strava and stuff like that. Um, and then it just kind of went from there. I love podcasts. I love doing podcasts almost as much as racing. It's just fun to talk to people and just share my story, and it helps me get some of this stuff out too because I don't like it's hard to for me. I feel like podcasts are it's almost like a therapy session. It's hard for me to get some of
Mm.
this stuff out normally, but in a situation like this, I feel like I can talk and if my story helps others, awesome. Like it might help somebody become a runner and be able to you know have a outlet to be able to relax and find peace, like I like running did for me.
Was there a moment when you're like, okay, people are actually listening to this and people are actually following what I'm doing? Like I don't want to say responsibility, but like I am making a difference if I keep sharing this.
I mean, yeah, I think like so I think a lot of being a caregiver with Donald, that I'm not a caregiver with Donald right now, just because like I've got a lot of stuff going on with my daughter and things like that. Like being a caregiver is hard, like especially if you have a young kid. But I think a lot of my motivation when I was a caregiver with Donald was just trying to help people become caregivers, and or just also talking about how important being a caregiver is, at the time. And then the running comes in with that because I met Donald at a race. So like basically I think a lot of my story revolved around at the time was just like promoting caregiving, and I still do stuff with Ainsley's Angels. I still push them at a lot of races and stuff like that, and I have a great time with Ainsley's Angels. But yeah, I think basically just like the most I've really I'm all over the place here. Let me back check. So like I think the most important time, like just since I've been on like social media, was just working with Ainsley's Angels and being a caregiver. And yeah, I think that's more important to me than running. I mean, running, don't get me wrong, running's very important also, but I think just running helped me find that whole community, which helps me feel really good about myself, helping others. It opened the door to something more important in life, just again helping people that can't run and just being able to experience. the stuff that's helped me out so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That was a lot of like, yeah, that was a
yeah, it's
lot of like,
good. Share with it. Do you mind sharing with us a story, like briefly about your caregiving with Don, so that the community understands the background there?
yeah. So I was doing a half marathon, and I see this really happy guy in a racing wheelchair. And I'm like, what's he doing? And like I saw his dad, Michael, and they were about to like, he was about to push him on this run. And I'd never seen this before on a race, so I was just like, okay. So like I tried to keep up with them, and they smoked the race. They got, I think, under an hour and a half. So like I saw them do it. I was like so moved. I was like, you guys are awesome. So like I reached out to them on like social media and stuff. I was like, I don't know you guys, but I love you. You guys are great. And like yeah, like that they I like they I saw them in a magazine after that, like a magazine like where they live in Manassas, and I read it, and the magazine was talking about how they work with Ainsley's Angels. So like I reached out to them and started pushing at events with Ainsley's Angels, and yeah, I've done every distance with them, uh, you know, from like a mile to I just did 50K last year. I did the Taco Bell 50K with my friend Catherine, and it was hilarious. I mean, like we had so the DC Taco Bell, you go to 9 different Taco Bells from Alexandria, all the way to DC and back down. It was hilarious. We were just like dying laughing the whole time because like you have to eat Taco Bell like every stop. You have to eat like burritos and stuff, and like people are getting sick or like even funnier
Ugh.
like so I don't advocate drinking. I don't like drinking. I don't do it. I quit. But like I didn't know this, but like some of the Taco Bells, like the cantinas, they actually serve alcohol. So like in the midst of a Taco Bell 50K, there's dudes drinking it. I just thought it was so funny. Like I all around it was. If you ever have an opportunity to do a Taco Bell 50K, definitely do it. They're popping up all over the place. There's one I think next weekend in Knoxville. They have one. There's one. They're popping up all over. They're hilarious. Definitely do it,
John, I don't think I would follow your advice on that one, my friend. Like, I'm trying to
dude.
train my gut to take
It
these
sounds
gels and stuff for a 100 miler. I'm like, dude, Taco
it
Bell would
sounds
reverse engineer all of that.
it sounds horrible. It sounds terrible, but dude, it is so funny, especially if you go with like a group of friends. So like with us, we had Catherine and we had Mikey, our two riders. So like we made basically duo teams around those two, to help push them to the end. We had like I think five a team. We had like 5 people in our group, and like if you go with like a group of people like that, it's just so funny. Oh, and we had a support person. Mikey's mom drove around with us to every Taco Bell, so she helped us out, to make sure we could procure the food. It was so funny. Like we had an awesome time. I mean, like yeah, you die for your art, man. Your gut's
Yeah.
gonna pay your gut's gonna pay the price. But dude, it is so funny. You're gonna have some near poop experiences. It's gonna happen, and that's part of the experience, man. And sometimes that's ultras anyway. So just embrace it, man.
Yeah. What would you say, so your riders, what's something you learned from a rider or something they shared with you about that experience that you're like, this is why I do this stuff?
The smiles and stuff like that. Like whenever I'm pushing somebody, I make it a point to like get like the crowd involved. Like if we're on a big race, so I just got into I'm gonna be doing the Cherry Blossom 10 miler in DC. I pushed on before, and there's so many people on that race. Like it's amazing. I mean, you get so much love from all the other people in the crowd, and that I mean, like there's no way that's not going to pump up anybody. So like the riders, they love that stuff. They're like rock stars. It's amazing. I love seeing it. I love being a part of it, and I love like helping them experience that everything. I just like being a part of that magic. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for doing that. It is a very honorable thing for sure to share that with people that don't have the ability, but they have different abilities, you know?
Well, and I mean, like I look at it like this for me, like I'm a very flawed person, and I think running helps. And I think what I struggle with running is like, and we touched on this earlier, like self promotion. We're at a weird place, I think, with running where there's a lot of influencers, there's a lot of people self promoting, there's a lot of like jealousy, there's a lot of comparison. You don't have to worry about that if you're like doing something with Ainsley's. You're thinking about somebody else, and I think that a lot of people in the running community could definitely benefit by trying to do that for somebody else and not trying to sell. It's something selfless, and I think in a sport where you're constantly looking at yourself, that's some balance that everyone could use in this sport. That I think.
That's true. Yeah, that's true in life in general. That's a
Yeah,
great point. We could all use a little balance. And there was a
and
good saying out. Go ahead.
and going back to like how we were talking earlier about getting my head big and stuff like that, like that's the yeah, no, I'm serious. Like that's a good way to like tone it down, John. Think about this other person. And I think, again, we can all use that. We all have egos, and like, I'm trying my best to be able to just keep the ego in check and not get too big. That's all. That's the game
Yeah.
right there, man.
So how did you balance that? So you're doing this good stuff and you're running during COVID, crazy miles, you're getting featured and people are writing about you. When did you say like, I'm gonna be honest and share the stuff they don't see? And was there something that you first shared that you're like, I'm gonna throw this out. I don't know if they're ready for this, or I'm super nervous to put this out.
So I'm always like, I I'll say it like this. I'm a single dad, man. I've got no shame. I've changed diapers in like the women's bathroom because there's not a changing station in the men's bathroom. Like, I've been through it all, man. And like, it, you know, that might be cringe, but I'll say it. I mean, if it helps people out, man, I've never felt uncomfortable as a runner, like telling my story, because I want to motivate others to be able to run and find something that brings them happiness. Like, I've never been ashamed of who I am when it comes to that stuff. I mean, I grew up really shy and didn't want to talk about myself. Like, when I was younger, I had a lot of anxiety, and I think just being able to finally find something I like to do, and like a lot of and people that share the same sport and everything like that. Like, I found my tribe, man. So I don't feel embarrassed or anything about it. I think that there's a lot of people in the community that they come from an addiction background, or alcoholism, and or just other stories like me. Okay, so there's people that in the running community that have good lives and stuff like that. They never had to really handle adversity, but there's also a lot of people coming from like a really tough background that are and that's what helps them be able to run the 100 miles and stuff like that. So I think just my first experience around some of these people, I just was like, wait a minute, they're kind of like me. So like, I've just never felt shy around like other ultra runners, or just even marathoners, and runners in general. I just feel like really comfortable around other runners. I'm not scared to talk about myself.
Yeah, that's good because that next question I wanted to ask you, John, was talking about like some of the stuff in research that you've talked about. Your running community kind of became your people, and you found your belonging there. So if somebody in the community is out there looking to find their community, they're feeling alone or disconnected, what would you say is the first step in finding their tribe and the people they want to be around?
So that's tough. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and this can be a cautionary tale, just for anybody getting into the community. I mean, like, don't think that the Reddit community is like a perfect like type of place. There's real world issues within the community also. So just be cautious of who you talk to. Like, I think I was really naive when I first started, like running and getting into certain groups and stuff like that. I mean, like, you know protect your peace, first and foremost, and like try to stick with people that are going to help you grow. I think that's the best way to do it. It is in any aspect of life. Just stick with people that are going to help you grow, and stay away from the ones that are just like seeking more negative stuff.
Yeah, I found something that there's a quote I heard that I find super interesting, and that's there's a difference between belonging and fitting in, right? Belonging is when you're valued and there's mutual values and there's mutual growth. Fitting in is when I have to change who I am to get you to like me or be part of the group.
I think that's a tough thing, because like I that was me a lot in high school and like middle school and stuff like that. I feel like you know it was a really tough transition like into adulthood, and I think basically I didn't have to try as hard in the running community, because we all like running and stuff like that. So it's gonna be easier, like, to absorb yourself in that community. But at the same time, yeah, you just gotta watch yourself, and just make sure that you have to ask yourself, like, is this really what I want to be doing with myself? Is this a productive usage of time? Is this gonna help me achieve my dreams? And I think that that's where a lot of, as cool as the running community is, and the different groups and stuff like that, I think that we do get into a habit where we lose track of what our goals and dreams are, and we start doing stuff that helps others. And at the same time, you want, if it's a certain, if it's a good thing that you're doing for somebody like Ainsley's, absolutely. But if it's something that's gonna be a detriment to what you're trying to do, like your values and your dreams, you have to be able to tell yourself, like, hey, this isn't working for me. I need to move on.
Yeah, I think that's a double-edged sword. I think there's 2 things there, one, John, is 1, you gotta know what the hell you want in life, right? Because if you don't know, then it's easy to fall into traps of doing things that don't fulfill you. And 2 is you gotta be okay putting up boundaries and prioritizing yourself to say, "Okay, this no longer serves me, I'm gonna move in a different direction." I think where we hesitate is when we don't know what direction we wanna be, and we're kinda, like, just on autopilot, just flowing with what's the easiest, and I think that's one of the beauties of running is there's absolutely nothing easy about it, right? And you're gonna have time to really be like, "Wait a second, why am I doing this? What am I getting from this?" And for me, and I think you mentioned this, like, when you're out there running and you have a choice to quit and you don't, you keep going, you also get to start thinking about the other things that are going on that you've maybe quit on thinking about, quit processing, and now you get to move on those as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I, you know, there's races I want to do. I have dream races and stuff like that, and I think I've ran into situations before, like trying to appease others, like in the running community. I've lost track of that at times, and like I'll be doing like an ultra and be like, "Wow, I'm really out of shape. I've lost." The beauty with running is that you are your training. If you lose track of like who you are and your core focus and stuff like that, you're gonna know, like trying to do certain races and stuff like that. You're gonna easily know that you're on the wrong track and you're off the rails with training. So yeah, I like running because it keeps me accountable and you know, I don't want to switch up who I am. I like what I'm doing with running. I want to do really hard races, and like when I find myself veering off that path, and I'm not, strong, and I'm starting to get weak. I'm like, all right, I got to refocus. What am I doing? What am I even doing here right now?
Yeah, and so let talk to me about that. Talk to me about that refocusing and that honest conversation, because I think that's something that we all it's easy not to have, right? It's easy to look in the mirror and lie to yourself and be like, "Oh, I'm not out of shape. I'll just buy an extra large shirt instead of a large," and it hides it, right? You know what I mean? Like we can hide from ourselves a lot. Talk me through that process that you use when you're like, "Okay, I need to reevaluate who John is right now. What is John doing?"
So like 2 years ago, oh my gosh, like I was like or so like kind of just how you mentioned, like I just like I wasn't running as much. I completely wasn't doing gym stuff, wasn't sleeping well. I was eating like complete trash. Not that I eat the greatest anyway, but it was like way worse than normal. But yeah, I was like skinny. I had a gut. Like when I look like that, I know I'm about to get injured because like, that just means I'm not doing any core work at all. Like I'm not putting, I'm not doing the stuff that's going to keep me healthy. Basically, I just completely stopped doing that. I wasn't running as much, but I was still running ultras. And I feel like for me, if I don't put any work behind the scenes, I'm just running races, I'm gonna get hurt. Like I'm gonna start having knee, hip problems, all that stuff. So yeah, I have to be honest with myself, like what my body looks like, how I'm feeling. Like if I feel completely bad, like after like a few races during the year, you have to be able to be like, hey, I need to stop, I need to refocus, I need to get myself
Mhm.
healthy. Because at the end of the day, it's this. If you keep pushing when you're already hurt and like out of shape, you're gonna get into a situation where you're not gonna be able to run for a long period of time, and that sucks. Like I don't want to get into that ever again. That's just a I love to run. It helps me feel happiness, and yeah. Why would you want to throw that away just because you want to keep it going? It sucks. You have to make a tough call to put in the work.
Dude, I love that. Man, while you're saying it, I'm just picturing, like, I'm picturing things. Here's what I pictured is, like, that's an accountability that we all need to have more of, right? Like, okay, my knees hurt. Why is my knee hurt? Well, it's because I'm overweight and I haven't stretched and I haven't done the things versus this telling myself I'm just old. I'm not supposed to run anymore.
I can't stand when people say that. I can't
You know what
stand
I
it when
mean? Like, it's like,
it literally pisses me off. Like when I hear somebody in the run club or something, and that's part of why like I don't go to run clubs as much. Like currently if I am running with friends, it's like a small pot. It's like a smaller run group of like it's like 10 people, and there's none of that. There's no drama. There's none of like, oh, I can't do this. But yeah, whenever I hear people talking about knee pain and stuff and they can't run, I'm like, so what PT are you doing? Like I'll ask them just basic question, nothing. They're not doing anything, and that's why they can't run. So like I mean like you have to be honest with yourself. If you want to run, you just have to put in the work. And if you're not gonna put in the work, then don't even act like you want to run because you're not even trying.
well, that's life, right? Like, if you want the life you want, put in the work to get the life you want. But if you're just going to sit around and tell me or tell your selves or your friends why you can't do the things you want to do and you're not even trying, then you're responsible for that.
Yeah, it's toxic, and I think one of the biggest things I've struggled in life is like when you have a good friend, like a good loyal friend that starts talking like that, and they're starting to bring you down with that kind of stuff, you have to cut them out, and it sucks. I mean, like it's easy for somebody to call you out and be like, oh, I get it too. Like any kind of criticism by like, I'm not saying ditching a friend like that, but I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to hang around people that are like that. They're going to bring me down. I just don't like in any, not just running, but just in life. I mean, like I'm 46. I don't have enough time in life to hang around people like that. I just don't.
No, and why should you? Right? Like why and that's such a tricky balance for people. And I'll be honest, I've never struggled with it. I'm pretty good at moving myself to where I want to be. Yeah, just having the confidence to be like, I need to make this change for me and understanding like what it does. You and I are friends, John, and I start telling you that, and you're like, all of a sudden I realize I'm not spending time with you, and you're still out running, and I've quit doing the thing that used to bring us together. I have a choice. I can either say like John's an asshole and just cut me out, or I can go like, wait a second, I've let John down. Like I'm not doing what brought us together.
You've yeah, that is that's a minefield, man. I mean, like I've gotten into situations with like other runners where I'm not gonna be your bad guy. It's that simple. Like I'm not gonna be your bad guy. I'm done with that. Like and it took me a while to understand this because like I didn't fit in well in like high school and stuff like that. Like I feel like I did jump through hoops to be people's friends. I'm not doing that shit now. That game's over. That ship has sailed. And if I find myself, you're gonna make me feel bad about running, or like, I'm a bad guy in your saga because you're not running or putting in the work. I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I love that, right? And that goes back to fitting in versus belonging. For our community members, like think about the groups you're in. Belonging is when John and I are in a group and we both give and we both receive, and there's that feeling of mutual growth. Fitting in is if I'm hanging out with John and I can't be who I'm supposed to be, or I'm doing all this other stuff just to get John to like me. And I'm fitting in. And I think too many times we get confused and we're like, oh, we have this group of friends. But if you can't be you in that group of friends, then you're fitting in. You don't really belong there. And don't be afraid to make changes. Like John said, life's short, right? Like you waste a year trying to fit into a group where you know it doesn't jive, you don't get that year back.
It's brutal. And like I mean, I don't mean to throw too much out there, but I've had friends like, I've had friends where like I've helped them be better runners, and then just like to see them slip away, I kind of get offended by it, like like to see them slip away or disparage what I do after me helping them out, like like running with them constantly, like investing time into helping them when I could be doing my own runs to help me out. I think like that was a big thing. Like once like I put a lot of work into a couple of people that like I would run with them, even knowing that like helping them out was going to hurt me. Like, I think like a lot of times, like I would just, I I would compromise my own runs and what I should be doing. And when I should have been looking out for myself, or running with people that were actually motivated, like I was, like I feel like if you find yourself like constantly having to lower your standards, I know that this sounds rough. This is it doesn't sound
That's the
good to say, but
truth.
it doesn't sound good to say though. But at the same time, if you're compromising your standards in any aspect, you got to get out of there. Like, they have to figure it out. You cannot force them to, because what's going to happen is this. Eventually, you two aren't going to be able to be friends or whatever, partners, whatever the case is. You have to move on. It's not going to work.
Yeah, dude, how can you grow? Right? How could you grow if you're doing that?
You can't save them. You got to cut them out. You can't, don't try to save them. Just let them go.
Ah, that's so interesting, dude. One of the things I want to talk about, John, is the Breezy Trailhead persona and the amount of humor you use in that, right? And you deliver a lot of funny stuff. Talk to me about how you came up with Breezy Trailhead, because that's a super cool name. And then share with me like something where you're like, dude, that's the funniest thing that ever happened to me out on one of my runs.
So when I was in the Navy, people would have like a field day with my name, because I mean, like, you could do a lot with it. Breezy for cheesy, whatever. Like people do all kinds of stuff with it. Cool breeze, Cool breeze. Like I've heard it. I've heard them all. So yeah, I just I just kind of just put it together. I was like, Breezy Trailhead, like just like the trailhead on the trail. And like, with that, you can take a lot of humor in that too. There's a lot you can do with that also. A lot to unpack with that. Well, we're not, but yeah. So like, funny name. And then yeah, on the trail, I don't like to talk about running. Like I'll talk about anything but running, like other sports. I love movies. So like a lot of the time when I'm out on the trail, I like have you ever seen the movie Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De
Yeah,
Niro?
Robert De Niro. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Wait a second. Let me interrupt you, John. You rooting for the good guys or the bad guys in that one?
De Niro, you gotta go De Niro in that movie. But
Always, right? You're so freaking heartbroken at the end when he's got to walk away from the lady, which like, dude, you can't get caught.
but the problem with De Niro in that movie is that he breaks his own code, so he has to
He
die.
does.
You break and that's going back to what we just talked about. I think that's like I think speaks to me a lot of different levels because one, Pacino is out of control in that movie. He's hilarious, but then also, yeah, if you like in Heat, if you break your own code, that's what happens. And I think that whenever we have a big downfall in life, it's because we broke our code, and you lowered your standards like De Niro does, and Al Pacino doesn't crack his code in it, so he has to be the winner. But anyway, Al Pacino delivers some hilarious quotes in that movie, like some hilarious shit. So like, I'll just start screaming out some of the stuff like in that movie that I'm not gonna do it on the pod. You know what I'm talking about there. He throws out some hilarious shit. So yeah, like when I'm on the trail, like it'll be like 4 a.m. and I'll just start screaming that stuff out, and like people will be like, "What? What's going on?" So like, yeah, I love the movie Heat. Again, it speaks to me on different aspects of life, comedy, actual just real life stuff. Heat. It's a life changing film.
What would you say was your toughest run, and what'd you take away from that event?
Oh wow. Okay, so this is really tough. So I had a race cancel last week. The Wild Oak Trail 100. Basically, I did the run a year ago. I was trying to attempt the 200. I had all kinds of issues. You know, I had a friend pass away uh, a few months before. I was going through some like personal stuff, and the race beat me so bad. It beat me. I only did one loop of a 200-mile race. That's the kind of state I was in, and after the fact, I went to like a deep depression cycle or spiral. I tried to like just a lot of just bad stuff. I was injured also on top of that, so I wasn't able to run. So I had to really push myself to go to the gym and just embrace that lifestyle instead of running. And I was looking for any bulletin board material basically to pull me back out of that hole and to be able to want to do gym stuff that I don't want to do. And basically I got there and I'm feeling good and everything now, only for the race to get canceled because of snow. And for me, like if I get my ass kicked on a race really bad like that, I want to go back and redeem myself for the most part. I mean, there's some races I'm just like, screw it, I'm fine. I'll do a different race. But this one I really wanted to go back and do, and it got canceled. So now I've got another year bulletin board material. So like I think like I'm getting into a turning point with that stuff though. I think that that stuff used to really get me down, but now I just look at it like it just gets me pissed off when I'm running and I think about it and it just makes me mad and I run harder. I mean, maybe that's not a good healthy way to look at it, but like I find it almost intoxicating. Like
Yeah.
just like get so pissed off, like just let that drive you to go fast and just say like fuck it, I'm going all out. Like I'm not going to let this dictate my life. I'm gonna take control. And like even though the race couldn't happen, this is another 12 months for me to be mad. And then when it does happen, I'm gonna kick that race's ass. I try to Incredible Hulk it. Like I use it just to get like when I'm on the run, I'm like it helps me up.
Yeah, and I think we can all apply that to life, right? Like, you think you're going to have an opportunity and it gets postponed, well, that's an opportunity for you to get better when it does happen, right? Like,
You know what? I used to like how can I say? I don't know if it's like I'm getting more mature or like maybe I'm getting dumber. I have no idea. But like I used to get really mad when stuff outside of my control happened. Like just it used to really get under my skin. It used to get me mad. Now, I mean, like, I feel like you're living life. If that's not happening,
mm,
you need to really question what's going on in your life. You need to have that stuff happening because it's not supposed to make you sad. It's not supposed to make you depressed, and it will in ways. But like, I think it's the way you come back from it. And I think if that's not occurring in your life, you need to reevaluate things. You need to be pushing it because to me that means that you're not pushing yourself hard enough for that stuff. If it's not happening, you're not pushing yourself hard enough.
and if you control all the variables in your life, that means you're not growing.
Yeah, that's a boring life. You're living like what was the Jim Carrey movie where he's like he's on a TV show? It's like that, man. It's boring. Yeah,
Truman?
yeah, it's true. Truman Show. Yeah, or like
Yeah,
yeah, you or there's another movie like that too. But yeah, why would you want to live in something that's all pre-controlled? Like just kind of like a like a set. Why would you want that?
yeah.
You want to live a wild life, man. You're
You're only
I want to
going
live.
this way once.
Yeah, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be like, I'm a fucking legend. I did everything I could, and you know what? I have no
Yeah.
regrets. That's how I would. I'll have no regret. The only time I would, I think, the only reason I would regret dying is if like I didn't live up to what I wanted to do in life. That's me. I want to live every day like I'm a rock star.
Yeah, no, I get it. So let's talk about this for a second, John. What's something you're working on right now that feels important to you?
Last year I got hurt. I got hurt and I couldn't do races for a good portion, not a good portion, but a few months out of the year. I'm doing a lot of races this year. I'm doing some hard ones. I'm signed up for Jigger Johnson 100 in the White Mountains. I'm doing a race that's underground in PA in an abandoned turnpike, 160-mile race underground. I've got like a bunch of hard races. Like if you look at all my ultra sign up, I mean, I've got like a bunch of 100 milers. I'm really going for it this year. I want to try to get into Badwater next year, and who knows? Maybe try to get the Barkley Marathon. It's the big one. I'm doing the Barkley Fall Classic this year also. I've done that race like I think 5 times. Yeah, I love really hard, crazy races, and
Yeah.
not because like the whole like cliche like oh I want to push myself. And I do that stuff is out valid for me, but I like the people. I like seeing my tribe out there. I always like seeing I always like seeing the group of people that assemble at these races. Like yeah, they're like it's like an Expendables movie. It's like all the nut jobs. I love it. They're my people. I love them so much. There's no like
Yeah.
if there is a heaven, I hope it's those people. Everyone else, fuck off. I just want those people. I don't care about you know what? I don't mean to be mean, but I don't care. I just want my people up there. That's all that matters.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, I was shocked the Barkleys kind of snuck up on us this year. Like I was watching Blacktail or Black Canyon 100, and all of a sudden I saw the Barkley kicked off too. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was going.
We alert you to this other race going on. No, I was on a
Yeah.
race. What's funny is I was on a race and I didn't even know. Like I was, my race got canceled and the 100 miler, and I jumped into a 50K Saturday instead, just because it was the closest race to me. There was another 100 miler in Delaware. I didn't want to drive that far, and I also did a race over there. I did the Duck the week before that one. So I was like, I don't want to drive another 4.5 hours for a race. So I did Promise Land, which was an awesome race. I had a great time. But yeah, like after Promise Land was over, I was like, oh shit, they're doing yes.
Nobody finished it.
Yeah, well, I heard like a bunch of different rumors. Like, I guess they're doing something at Frozen Head State Park, and like later on in the year, like park maintenance or something, so they couldn't have it at the normal time. I've heard like a bunch of rumors like that, but yeah, I mean, like I've always wanted to do that race. As soon as I found out about Barkley, I didn't even find out about it from the doc initially. Like I found about it from like I was after my first marathon, I started like Googling like what's the hardest races in the world. Like I was an
Yeah.
idiot. I was just looking up stuff like that on like Wikipedia, and I saw Barkley. I saw Laz on like on the Wikipedia page. I was like, oh shit, he's smoking a cigarette. That's how the race starts. This is cool. And like the more I read about it, I wanted to do it. And then like Bar- Barkley Fall Classic was like my third race. Yeah, like
Wow.
I did a marathon, like a road marathon, and then I accidentally signed up for a trail marathon. I thought thinking it was like a road marathon. I had no idea of the difference in like the different like anything. So I just accidentally signed up, and I fell in love with it, and I signed up for well, I got into the wait list for the Barkley Fall Classic, and there was like a hurricane, so a bunch of people dropped, and they let me in, and I was just like I was shocked. I was like, is this a joke? I emailed Steve Durbin. I was like, "Is this for real? Did I get hacked?" They're like, "No, this is real." I was like, "Okay, I'll see you there." I had no idea that like there was a difference between the Fall Classic and the Barkley Marathons. I thought that the Fall Classic was the Barkley Marathons. I had no idea. I was like, "How do we get the book pages?" It was awesome.
Yeah, different races. What would you say, John, if you're wrapping up here, what would you say if listeners could take away one idea from your story and apply it to their life? What would you hope it would be?
To be yourself and don't cater to others. I mean, like, choose the people in your life that are going to help you grow and, accomplish your dreams. And, if somebody's bringing you down, you can't save them. They have to save themselves. Like you can help them try to get to the point where they can save themselves, but like you can't fix them like that. You got to cut them out. And it sucks. I mean, that's like for me, that's one of the hardest things to do as an adult to people, but you have to if you want to grow.
John, thanks so much for being on our show, my friend. It was an honor to share your story and to have some time with you. And we can't wait to see what you do next. Where can our audience be part of your community?
Just go to Breezy Trail Head. I'm on Facebook too. I just kind of joke around on Facebook. Facebook's kind of weird. Yeah. So mainly, yeah. Yeah. Facebook's kind of for joking. Instagram, I put like real stuff, and yeah. I'm on Strava, but I'm private. But if you want to follow me and you're not like a nut job, I'll bet you, and you can come in.
John, thanks so much for joining us, man. Keep doing the work you're doing. Keep pushing yourself, and we're here cheering you on.
Thanks for letting me spill my soul. This is good. I need to get this stuff out, man. This stuff clouds me up, and I got to release it to the public.
We're always here for you, my friend.